Tonight is yet another opportunity to honor military service. Many are confused by the various holidays honoring military service members, and this is all the talk on social media over the last several days. So we have Armed Forces Day, Veterans Day, Flag Day, Service Branch birthdays, Independence Day, and now Memorial Day. What's the difference? If you watched TV or read the newspaper, you'd think this weekend's about barbecues and sales of everything from mattresses to furniture to cars. But indeed, I suspect most of you gathered here with us tonight know the true meaning behind Memorial Day, which is to mark the service of those and the families of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of liberty. It is a holiday that asks us to honor those heroes, but also the families that they left behind. Parents, spouses, siblings, children, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, grandparents, whose entire family unit was forever changed by a knock on the door and the phrase, "on behalf of a grateful nation." Where one service member stood up for his or her country, maybe something like 11 family members stood behind that hero. So, as we prepare to enjoy the fellowship of the extended holiday weekend, please commemorate the weekend with pride, remembrance, and certainly celebration. We're honored to be living legacies of such selfless souls.
As you saw through the film, we hold ourselves to a very high standard. Everybody knows it. A lot of the tour guides that give tours talk about the high standards that we have, and it obviously, apparently morphed into we can't, what is it? We can't drink or swear the rest of our lives?
Yes.
Yeah. For those of you who are here before the movie started, I think we all had a glass in our hands, so you know that. You know that answer. We're human. We enjoy our adult beverage like anybody else, but it's just the legend just comes from because of the standards that we hold ourselves to, both on and off duty, and then also when we leave. And it just, along with social media and the network, it morphed into this urban legend.
What do you have to do if you really have to go to the bathroom?
Chuck?
I don't know how many of you here have had kids, but when I had children, it was before we got in the car to go anywhere, go use the restroom. You don't get to get off the mat just because you have to go to the restroom. You just have to wait. You have to man up.
Has there been any like serious taunting or assaults by visitors?
Visitors are usually very respectful. It's an ordeal to get there, whether you're traveling across the country or then walking up the 1.5 miles to get to visit the tomb. And how many people actually in the room have been to visit the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? A lot of you. That is awesome. And as you know, it's an ordeal to get there. Usually people are very respectful. There was a disgruntled person back in the 70s who had said that he wanted to kill a tomb guard, and he did assault the tomb guard and or attacked him with a pistol. Thankfully, he was overpowered, and it was not a tragedy. So.
Steve, what did you do on your honeymoon?
There's a story here.
Yeah, that's why I was like, all right, let's do this one.
Okay, somebody tipped somebody off. So while I was in the old guard, the second duty I was in the United States Army drill team, traveling around the United States performing the drill team. And I then volunteered to come down and train at the tomb. This was while I was single. I moved back on post, knowing the dedication and the time we had to put into our training, in which time I flew back here to California. My wife and I are both from the Bay Area. Got married, and we then made the 3,000-mile drive back to Washington, D.C. At that time, I was on full rotation, which was a third training phase. I had just passed that test, so the next thing was the badge test. So for 3,000 miles, my wife and I studied my badge test. Like the other Sentinel said during the movie, is my wife could probably pass the badge test also. So yeah, for 3,000 miles, we studied the badge test, and I went there, and it paid off. The written test that I took, when we were there, we had to score 98.5% or higher in order to pass. And when I took my written test, I got 100%, so it paid off.
So, like, how do you go from that level of perfection in the military?
It's not so much how we deal with it, it's how the people around us deal with it.
So is OCD part of the screening process of tomb guards?
I think I can probably speak for the guys that have been there, but it's something that people that I've worked with over my years, some of them know what kind of work I did in the Army, some of them don't. Everybody knows that I was in the Army. They can tell that by the structured way that I do things. The ones that really suffered were the ones that wouldn't necessarily try and do their job the way that it was expected. I always expected perfection. That's part of the Tomb Guard's creed. I was told nicely by my supervisor just probably 10 years before I retired, you need to calm down a little bit. These people don't understand what you've been through and why you're trying to get them to do these things. So it's a tough thing for people around us, more so than it is for us to adjust, because I don't know, that's not something I could ever do.
It must be bittersweet to return to the tomb. And how often do you visit?
At least every 2 years. I go back. I served there in 1975 through 1977. The first time I went back was probably late 1990s when the Honor Guard Society formed for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Ever since then, I've been back every 2 years. I look forward to the reunions every 2 years because I get to spend time with my brothers and return to some place that has such good memories for me.
I was there November 91 to March 95, and when we left, we go back probably every 2 years, within every 2, 3 sometimes years, with bring our kids back. My oldest daughter actually was born while we were stationed out there. She's now in the Army, and she's actually stationed in Maryland, so when we go back to see her also. But even just watching the movie today, to see it, you almost feel like you're there again. It was hard not to stand at attention when they read the Sentinel's Creed. I almost snapped to right there from my seat. And these guys will be lying if they told you they weren't picking out gigs on uniforms when they were watching the screen, because I was, and I know we do. So we still go back often, and we have the reunions and the social media with some of our pages that we have. We get to keep in touch with each other.
You guys have to be the worst to take to military movies. I thought I was. You guys are probably even worse.
We do catch uniform mistakes. I should hang out with them a little more. I financially can't afford to go back and visit that often. So when I first got out of the Army, I went back for a buddy's last walk within a month. I moved out here. I'm from the East Coast. And then my sergeant, Staff Sergeant Adam Dickmeyer, Neil Sargent, he was our squad leader. When he was killed, I went back for that, and that was in 2010. I served at the tomb from 2005 to 2006. And then I didn't go back until we went to film this. And this was a Kickstarter movie. People donated some. We raised $17,000, Neil and I, and to go back and film. And I got depressed when we went back there. We filmed for 3 weeks. That's all we had money for. And we were the camera guys, and they knew I was a tomb guard, but they were like, oh, yeah, we have to work with you, And it took about a week, and I remember Neil had to pull me aside, like, what's your problem, man? And I was like, they're not my guys, Do you see this mistake and that mistake? And I had it harder, and it was only 4 years ago, It was dumb, And the mat went uphill both ways, And he was like, dude, we're back here telling this story, And after about a week, they let their guard down. I was able to kind of smash through, and then we were able to really get some good footage, and I was able to go, okay, the tomb is the same, the sentinels are the same, and the mission is the same, and that is to honor our nation's fallen heroes. And we'll continue that for 365 days a year. So.
Neil?
Been back couple of times to get pickup shots and do stuff for the tomb, but we both got out. He got out in 2006, me in 2007, so went back in 2012 to shoot this, and then in 2014 again to get some pickup shots. But it's always real emotional being there, so grateful they let us film.
Since 1956, has any of the training and testing changed?
I guess I'm the oldest one here.
Senior.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Was it harder when you were there?
It was different. Looking at, in fact, I was thinking while I was watching the film, I would be hard pressed to try and hold the same standard that the guys have today. Things have changed since 1975. The things that the knowledge that they have to memorize is probably about 10 pages more than what it was when I was there. The physical aspects of it, polishing your shoes, prepping your uniform, they have things a whole lot nicer now when I was there. When I was there, we used an iron with a pressing cloth to press our uniforms. Now they have steam presses. What I would have given for a steam press back then. But things have changed significantly since 1975. There's probably some changes that between my era and Steve's, or even Ethan's, that were major differences. That's why, like what Ethan was saying, we go back there and we kind of pick at what the guys are doing wrong. And in most cases, it's not that they're doing anything wrong. They're doing things differently than when we were there. But like he said, the mission's still the same. It doesn't really matter how things are being done so long as the mission is being done.
In this area, we would have never thought it. It's like San Francisco, you know, and we've got 5 sold-out screenings up here, spread out from Rockland, Sacramento, all in the area.